So we're going through nutrition, guys, and this is for 6 days. We're going to go through this, and it's our skill. And I'll tell you, it's skillful to eat. If you didn't know, I'm really good at eating food. So just to make it clear, I can do this really well. But our main idea, we're going to talk about the zone method, and I like to clarify it with that term. It's not a diet. Some people might call it that. I like to call it a method of eating because they don't tell you what to eat. They really tell you how to eat. And I think that's different. So distinguish that term. They're telling you how to eat proportions, and then they're also telling you how to eat timing-wise. What meals you need to be having and how much you need to be eating. So there's going to be a lot of different ways you can go about this method, but that's what we're going to mainly cover over the next 6 weeks. And then one thing we went through was challenges that people face. I want to go through some of them. I think you might relate to them. And then if you have any you want to add in there, just to say like, hey, just pipe up and say, yeah, this is one of my challenges with eating right, and then we can go through it. So preparation was one of the issues that people struggle with, is like making sure they either have the right stuff in their house to even cook it, making sure it's in their fridge and their cupboard, or some people will do like a Sunday afternoon prep for the whole week. We used to do that. We're a little bit off of that now with Scarlett, but that's a great idea. That can be a challenge. It's like make sure you have the time, understanding of how to prep all those meals laid out for a week. So priority, commitment, and knowledge, actually being focused enough to do this and take the time to research it. You'll find a lot of information out there. I'll tell you what, man, there are so many different diet plans, so many different ways to think. Our culture, FDA-wise, has done a horrible job of educating us on what to eat. They kind of got won by the agricultural world and said, you know, grains are the best thing for you. Eat a lot of dairy. That's a little bit backwards as far as health. In CrossFit, we like to think eat meat or nuts and seeds. So that's your protein source. Veggies, some fruit, little starch, and no sugars. And grains and all that stuff would fall into sugars. It's just not healthy for you.
I always have a different acronym for the FDA.
Really?
Yeah, I can't tell you.
Can't say that? Yeah. But that's the idea. So we want to make sure we're getting the right knowledge, like what is good for us. And take the time to research it, really like use the sensibility of like, wait a second, a lot of sugar doesn't make sense for me. So goals, having good goals. You know, a lot of times in our culture, especially like here the most, I want to lose weight. That's probably the one that runs around most of the time. If I lost weight, it probably would be healthy for me. I would assume even for you, if you lost weight, it's probably not the best that you can be. You might need to either say, hey, I want to gain weight or stabilize. You know, I'm in a stabilizing mode right now. I just want to stay where I'm at. I feel really good. My performance has been good. Every time I work out, it's looking great. So I'm happy. I'm going to stay here for a little while. But just to have a goal of like, I want to lose weight, when does that end? You know? And I think the better goals, one of the guys who was here today, he's, I think he might be in his 50s. I'm pretty sure he's in his 50s. And he had gone to the doctor. They said he's the healthiest he's ever been. His cholesterol levels are actually at a healthy spot now. And that's good news, you know. That's a perfect goal to have. Make it where I'm looking better at my cholesterol, my blood pressure, those things. Also looking at muscle mass. You know, when you go to the doctor and if they test your BMI, your body mass index, most CrossFitters will be called overweight. If I went to the doctor, they'd probably call me overweight right now, just because the one thing they check usually is BMI. So they'd say, because of your height and your weight, you're overweight. I don't think that's right. You look at me, I'm clearly not overweight. I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm fit. Maybe a little bit. I like it. So the timing of eating is actually one of the hardest things. That's what we're going to talk about today, is timing. Sometimes people forget to eat. That might be you. Maybe you're like, yeah, I forgot to eat lunch or breakfast. I know. And then having body cues, making sure like your body's telling you you're hungry. If we forget that long enough, we might like just push that voice aside and say, shut up. But if you hear your body, it will usually tell you when you should be eating. People might just misinterpret it and say, no, I'm not hungry, I'm just tired. What they might be is not hungry. They're not tired, they're hungry. So another one was the challenge of the taste change. You get so used to what you're eating, you think healthy foods taste nasty. You know, I don't like the taste of broccoli. I don't like the taste of this. It is an acquired taste. It just takes the discipline of doing it enough times where you like spinach, you like broccoli, you like avocado, you like these things. Some people have allergies, and those can be a huge challenge because it puts them in a different spot. Sometimes it's a good thing. Some people are allergic to gluten, or let's say they're allergic to grains or something. It puts them in a spot where they're healthier, so sometimes it can be a good thing, but some people legitimately have allergies to good foods. It's like they can't eat it, and it's limiting what they're able to get their good sources from. So that can happen. Kids is one, you know, I know that with that. Man, yeah, I'm allergic to them. It makes it a challenge though to eat right. It really does. It puts us in a spot where it's like, you know, they have friends who eat a certain way, so they ask for it at home. You give in, you buy it, now it's in the home and you want to eat it. Fruit snacks, maybe. I don't know. I eat a lot of fruit snacks on accident. Me and my son, man, we get at it. But, you know, it's just one of those things. It's a challenge for eating right. And we'll look at that. And then work schedules. Sometimes people work a night shift, day shift, working too late, you know, getting up early one day, you can be cycling all the time, make it really hard to eat properly. But those are some that came out today. If you guys have something you want to bring up or talk about that we might be able to kind of address as we go through this, feel free. Otherwise, we move on. Yes? No? Yeah.
David,
Okay.
like you said, that's both studies about location and eating, and yeah, where it was. I want to say it's out there in the area.
Okay, no.
So like where they live, they go to the market for miles.
Oh.
They go down the road and it's not like something like four fast food.
Right.
Versus like somebody who lives in Chicago, probably has grocery stores, but there's still
Yep.
ratio to like grocery store food.
Yep.
Fast food is still
Honestly, I would say that's probably one of the biggest issues living in Mason, though. Mason is funny because if you are on the go, there's not really any good, quick restaurants to go to. You have like a Wendy's, a McDonald's, you know. If you go anywhere, you're going to a restaurant that's going to cost you a lot of money. Whereas like if you're in Frandor, downtown Lansing, you can actually find a place where you can eat healthy, like a Mediterranean food store, or you know they have like a Pancheros, or you can get some like Mexican where there's like good like guacamole. But I feel you there, man. Like Mason, sometimes it's like, what am I gonna? I don't want to go get a fast food thing. So then you just try to like figure out like, do I have to go to the grocery store real quick and get something? But I would agree, location could be a huge issue. I think it's easier for people in like colonized places for sure. It can be easier, especially if they're working on the go. They can still get a fast food, but healthy. It's easier that way. Like Qdoba, you can usually get away with getting like a double chicken, get their guacamole, get some pico. You're getting your protein, your fats, and your carbs all right there, and it's pretty quick. But no, I would agree that that's a good one. Anyone else, or we can I'll go with the rest of the thoughts. Anyone else? Good. Okay. So the main idea, this is going to be, I'm going to erase some of this. So with the zone method, what they're doing, and some of this might not make total sense, try to just like stick with me, not get caught up on certain things if it's confusing. We'll go over these the next 6 days. But in the zone method, what they're doing is they're giving you blocks to eat. And so like, let's say an egg, one egg is one block, let's call that. And I am, if they look at my meal plan, for breakfast, lunch, I get a snack, a dinner, snack.
Look back when you go over there.
They call me
at
a
the time.
5 block all the way across because I am an active male and athletic. So for me, because I work out once a day and I coach all day, I'm always moving. I get 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So if you look at my plates, I'm eating 5 meals throughout the day. Some people, your snack might be, depending, like if you're on a desk job, but you still work out, you might do 5, 5, 1. So you do like what is it? So you're still working. You need to have good quality food, but on your snacks, because you might be a little bit more less active during your work hours, the snacks can go down. So then my meal plan would say I'm 25 blocks in a day. You're looking at 17, right? 17, yeah. So you're 17. So that's the difference in what we eat throughout a day or should be eating. And when you look at a meal plan, the way this works is up here, what they do is they're trying to balance you. You're not eating the same amount of certain foods, you're eating the same blocks. And I'll explain the blocks here real quick. So let's say this is my dinner plate. What I want to look at is usually it'll look like this. I'll have about that much in carbs over here, and then my protein will be probably about this big over here, and then my fats will be about that big on the plate. So usually that's how it'll look. And what it's doing, let's say I'm eating breakfast. And let's say 1 egg is a block. And I'm a 5 block breakfast. I need to have either 5 eggs, or maybe I do like, I could do like 3 eggs, and maybe like 4 turkey sausage or something. And that would get me, through these things, 5 blocks on the protein side. So then I need to come up with 5 blocks of carbs. So what it might say is like, let's say a tomato
Time.
is 1 block. So let's say
Good
I want to
job.
chop up 2 tomatoes.
Nice
I
job.
get 2 blocks right there. And then let's say spinach, 1 cup of spinach is a block. I can do 2 cups of spinach. And that's 2 blocks. I only need what?
You can fit that in a car, huh?
Yep, spinach would be a carb. It's a vegetable, it's a slow burning carb, carbohydrate. So it'll be consumed over the course of the digestion. Yep. And then let's say, and there is a graph that actually tells you, so if you've ever cooked with a recipe, have you ever made anything on a recipe? Like a little recipe card, you've never done this? This is tough. We'll get you a recipe card, we'll make you one. But have you cooked with a recipe card?
Have I ever been
Yeah.
there? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and you've probably done it. Okay. So like a recipe card, they just tell you. They say you need this much of this, you need this much of this, you need this much of this. There's actually a little spreadsheet that they'll give you, and they'll say a chicken, 1.5 ounces of chicken is this much of a block. They'll tell you like tomatoes and spinach. I'm just using numbers for the sake of just so we get through it. But it would tell you, it would literally tell you this much spinach equals 1 block. And you need to come up with in your meal 5 blocks. So let's say I want to finish out with 1 cup of mushroom. Let's say that was a block. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 blocks for my carbs.
And I remember in
tomatoes, spinach, and
volleyball,
mushroom.
I wasn't
So now I have 5 blocks of carbs, 5 blocks of
again.
protein,
So I was
and
like,
equals
thank you.
5 blocks of fat. And let's say it says like an avocado, maybe a quarter of an avocado is a block. If I eat 1 in a quarter of an avocado, so 1.25 avocados, let's say that says that that is a 5 blocks of fat. Now I have like this little breakfast, I can make a breakfast burrito or stew of all that, put it all together, and just smash real quick. So that's kind of how it looks. And you can see probably more eggs than you ever think you need in the morning, you know, as a man.
How many
Sometimes-
tablespoons of butter?
I don't know. But then your veggie side, you'll literally see this size, the carbs. If you're eating enough vegetables, it's a lot of food. It really is. But you do that across the whole day, and you get that much vegetables throughout the day, you are going to be feeling pretty good about yourself. Slow burning carbs, they keep you moving. Proteins help you recover muscularly, and the fats help your brain function. So the reason that all this is important, does that make sense mathematically though, what you're trying to do? And we'll go through this. The spreadsheet makes a lot of sense. If you've ever cooked with a recipe, it's really easy to do. We always encourage people, if you want to do this, the zone method is really worth the time. You take about 6 months, commit yourself 6 months, you weigh and measure everything. So like if you've ever cooked like a cake, it says you need 2 cups of water. You measure it out, you put it in. It says you need to put 2 eggs in there. You crack 2 eggs, you put them in. That's all you're doing. You look at the spreadsheet, you say I want to make a meal with all this stuff, you weigh it out, you measure it, you put it, you make it, and then you do that for 6 months, you'll get to a point where you can actually eyeball this stuff. You'll just make a plate and be like, that's 5 blocks about. And that's what you would do. So but commit to 6 months if you really care about getting to the point where you're healthy. And the reason, this is why it's important, I'm going to do it over here. There's a term in our world called hyperinsulinemia, and all it means is that your insulin is hyperactive. It's going up and down all the time. So if we look at this and says, let's say baseline, that's where you want your insulin level to be at. What happens to people is if they forget to eat, where have I erased it? If they forget to eat breakfast, let's say they wake up and they're like, I didn't have time for breakfast. I forgot to eat. I didn't even think of it. What happens is you started this deficit down here. Let's say you woke up, you're in a deficit, you missed breakfast. So now you're waiting until lunch. You spike your insulin. You're way up here, you ate a big meal at lunch. Let's say you don't have a snack or something in the middle. You wait till dinner. Let's say this is 12 o'clock. You wait till 6 o'clock to eat dinner. You're going to have your insulin drop. It's going to come back up at dinner. And you're going to spike your insulin. And then let's say you go to bed and it drops again. And you wake up and you forget to have breakfast again. You're down here. And then you eat lunch. You spike again. And this is the problem that happens in America, and you've heard this, I'm guaranteed, you might have said this yourself, at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're like, I am so tired. Why can't I stay awake? I need a nap. That's more of an issue of how you're eating and how you're timing it out than actually being tired. It's your insulin is so low, you're literally on the verge of like maybe dying. You know, that's really what's happening, is you're going to a deficit and you don't have enough sugars to keep you functioning. And that's why people just like smash like Pop-Tarts or whatever it is. They're like, I need something right now, and or coffee. You know, they just fill it up, and now they're dehydrating themselves, and they live in a constant state of exhaustion. That's what they're doing. They might even live like this, always down below. What you're trying to do with the zone is you're saying breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. I get 5 every single time. So my life looks like this. I wake up, I eat breakfast, I kind of go like this all throughout the day. I stay pretty close to baseline, and I never feel like I'm tired. I just constantly have fuel. And that's the goal. The goal is to get to a point where you never say, I'm so tired. Like people always, and it's not to like brag, but people will say to me a lot, how do you have so much energy, man? You wake up at 4 o'clock, don't you? Well, yeah, I do. I eat a lot of food. That's what it is. I just keep my insulin levels really baseline, and I never feel like I'm crashing. I can go to bed, wake up, feel ready to go. But you follow this plan for long enough, you'll find your body start asking for food. It'll be like, hey, where's my snack? Hey, where's my snack? Where's my lunch? Where's my dinner? Where's my breakfast? You miss one, you'll know it. And you got to hear those cues, but this is why. This is why people get tired. This is an issue. This is like the onset of type 2 diabetes. This is really, I believe, one of the big runners of why that happens to people is they eat crappy food and they never eat at the right times, and they just are constantly spiking, dropping. Their organs don't know how to function anymore. They literally have set themselves in this constant state of fluctuation. So we would encourage, stick to this idea. If you can commit 6 months to it, we'd love to support you in it. Kelly and I actually did that weighted measure. We can eyeball pretty well now, but have you done the zone diet ever?
I tried.
Okay. Yep. It's good to get to this point where you can just eyeball. I tell you, that's a great day when you can do it, because then it's like you don't have to feel so much pressure, but you'll know, like, that's enough food right there. So that's the idea. And then we'll go through this next 6 days, so it'll come up, and we're going to videotape all of them, and we'll send out an email at the end. So if you miss one, it'll get out to you. Artists, we are going to go through our second talk on nutrition, and what we're looking at is 2 layers. We're talking about sugar consumption, and so the encouragement here is stay away from sugar. The simplicity of CrossFit, we talk about eat meat, vegetables, some fruit, little starch, no sugars. Nuts and seeds would be up in your proteins with the meat as well. And so this is avoiding sugar. There's 2 layers why you would want to. And so layer 1 is going to be health, wellness, and survival. I like to put survival in there because I think sometimes we get caught up in that I'm alive. And it's easy to think, well, I'm living without any true goal. But I think we have to be intentional. We play a part in this whole thing of how long we live. Decisions you make today are going to actually affect you later. And so the sugar consumption that you have is going to turn into something. And so survival is important, but it's amazing the effort that we exert to consume sugars in our culture. It's no different than our interest in beer and opiates. It tickles our brain. It stimulates us. And so sugar is really an addiction in a lot of ways. We have a lot of excuses why we feel like we need to consume sugar, whether it's ease of finding it, whether it's we were at a party and it was offered, if it's on the table, I had to eat it. But that's just an excuse. People can avoid these things, and we need to make better decisions. What we like to look at here is the idea, if you do not drink alcohol, you'll probably not suffer from alcoholism. And I know that's a far stretch or maybe a little too intense to talk about, but if you don't eat sugar, you're not going to suffer from the diseases that are associated with sugar. And there's a lot of them. Type 2 diabetes might be part of that. You could also have things like just arthritis playing into it, inflammation in the body, just creaky joints, stuff like that. And so you want to avoid them because you probably won't suffer all the diseases that are associated with sugar if you avoid it. Here's kind of an idea. If you're in a grocery store, these are a far stretch. I know we're almost exaggerating, but I think it helps us make better decisions when we're in the time of actually buying groceries. And so if it's not in a garden, it's not food. Veggies are food. That's the way it goes. If it has a food label on it, it's not food, okay? All that middle aisle with all the boxed up things, it's just not food. Those are processed things that we're consuming. And if it has a best if used by date, it's probably not food. If that's like in 2020, if it can last that long and it's not perishable right now, it's probably not food. If it can sit on your table and not deteriorate or start to rot within an hour, it's probably not food, okay? So that's the idea, health and wellness and survival. Layer 2, for all us CrossFitters, we actually care about this, is optimizing performance. And this is why we keep track of all our workouts, why we want to hit PRs, why we want to see our lifts go up and our Metcons times go down. We want to optimize our performance. And weighing and measuring your food actually plays a huge part in this. you'll be biased in the wrong direction if you don't weigh and measure. What you'll do is you'll say, I think I had enough veggies, so you'll lower your veggie intake, and you'll probably say, I can have a little bit more ice cream, can I? I had a hard workout. You'll just be biased all over the place if you're not actually weighing and measuring, looking at the amounts and quantities that you're eating, not just the quality. And so precision of consumption, there's a one-to-one to athletic performance in the food that you're intaking. So precision and consumption. What we'll do next is we're going to go over, look at a computer screen, and we'll go through the zone method of how you look at blocks and how that breaks down into a way that you can actually consume based on recipes. So let's go look at that. So a zone block, they eat in blocks, and it breaks up proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And it says it'll give you a quantity of grams or ounces, and that'll dictate what a block is of either protein, carbohydrates, or fat for that particular food. And so what we're doing is it's just a unit of measure. If you've ever cooked with a recipe, recipe sheet, you can do this. It's not that hard. What you need first to do is look at what prescription based on your sex and body type. And for myself, I would look as athletic, well-muscled male. And maybe I'm being a little egotistical, but I like to think of myself as that. But it lets me have my meals at 5 blocks and my snacks at 5 blocks. So by the end of the day, I want to consume 25 blocks worth of food. The way this breaks down is we would go look at this. Here's our block chart for protein, fat, and carbohydrates. So for my blocks of protein, what I'd be looking at is, let's say I'm going to eat chicken. Chicken would be 1 ounce, so I need 5 ounces worth of chicken to get my blocks of protein. And then I would look at fats, and I'd go down here to tahini, and it says 1/3 of a teaspoon. So I'd multiply that by 5. I would have 1 2/3 teaspoons for my fat, and I'd put that on my chicken. And then I just gotta go find some carbohydrates to throw in the mix, and we'll use vegetables as that. And let's say I wanna eat mostly just broccoli. I love broccoli. So it would say 1 1/4 cups. I'd multiply that by 5. So I would have 5 cups plus, what is that? It'd be 6 1/4 cups of broccoli is what I would do. So that would be my 5 block meal is chicken, tahini, and broccoli. And that'd just be an easy thing for me to throw in a dish and just consume it really quickly. So that's how it looks for me is 5. Now, if you are different, and let's go back up to the chart that decides what you are. Let's say you're a small female. You only have 2 blocks each time. So your multiplier is 2 anytime you're looking at this. So you would eat 2 ounces of chicken. You would have only 2/3 of a teaspoon of tahini, and then your broccoli would only be 2.5 cups worth of broccoli. So that's how you do it. Just treat it like a recipe book, and you just make what it says. Consume it. You'll see that it's usually a lot more than you think you need to eat. It breaks it down into fruits as well. And then they also have pre-made recipes. So if you want to have a breakfast quesadilla or some tacos for lunch, chili for dinner, just make that and just see how it looks for you on your plate so you get an idea. If you do this for about literally 6 months, you'll have a good idea of what your portion sizes should be over time. You'll be able to know what a block of protein looks like, a block of carbohydrates, and a block of fat. So that's our encouragement. Follow this plan, and I think you'll see yourself start to shed fat where you need to, put on muscle if you need to, and then actually be performing better. As we said, optimized performance is one of our goals as CrossFitters, and we want to be able to do that. So that's the talk.